Welcome to Keiko Vision, a podcast to pump you up to change the world. Hosted by me, Jordana. Let's get started. So it's been a couple of weeks since the last podcast. Unfortunately, the whole family caught COVID and had a couple other issues during that time period. So everyone's recovered from COVID. And I had an amazing weekend relaxing and recentering under the stars with my best girlfriend. So sorry if you missed me, but I am happy to be back. So a lot's happened in the last couple of weeks. And one of the most important things, something that's getting a lot of attention, is the leaked document that suggests that the Supreme Court is going to overturn Roe versus Wade. And so protections for legal abortions could be ending. And that's not a surprise. I remember the day that Ruth Bader Ginsburg died. I was watching a movie with my youngest, and I don't remember the movie that we were watching, but I got the alert on my phone, and I just started crying. RBG was a hero of mine, but it wasn't because my hero had died. It was because of when she died. She warned us that this was going to happen, that abortion rights were going to be challenged. They're being challenged right now. And we're going to lose this challenge. And things are going to get even more difficult for a lot of people. And it's frustrating. And people are getting a little fire back in their belly. And I like that. But this is just one issue and one example of a government that's not working for the people. If you look at the polls, there is broad support for abortion rights. So a Gallup poll from May 2021 showed support for abortion in all or most cases at 80%, which is an all-time high. And this is the time that it's getting reversed. When we cater to special interests and when we cater to billionaires, their agendas get put before the interests of society. And right now, so many children are not even getting the nutrition that they need. We're not feeding the kids that we have now, and we're going to force more people who don't have the means to raise children. We're going to force them into unimaginable situations. This is going to be a giant leap backwards. There's a lot of gray area when it comes to abortion and what should be legal, what should be ethical. But there's some things that we all should agree on. And most of us do. An Associated Press poll found that 87% support abortion when the woman's life is in danger, 84% support exceptions in the case of rape or incest, and 74% support abortion if the child would be born with a life-threatening illness. With this ruling, women will be losing control of their bodies. And for people who don't like government overreach, they should be pissed. And I like that I see a lot of people are really upset about this. But it's going to burn out. And then there's going to be something else that's just as bad. And it's just as infuriating. And what happens with each one of these little things, people get desensitized. And so if you just got a wind of energy, if you just got the fire in your belly because of this ruling, I've got some advice for you. Because I've been dealing with the frustration of activism for years now. You have to intentionally offset those negative feelings, those negative emotions with something positive. Because if not, your body at some point will put up a self-defense mechanism where it doesn't hurt as badly. And you stop caring. And right now, we need everybody to care. And I think that a woman's right to choose is so important. And losing control of my body to government, I hate that idea. But this isn't even what scares me the most. This is one very clear example of our government not working in our best interest. And this is something where One decision can quickly change the lives of millions and millions of people. But when we talk about climate change, it's not something that's that clear. It's clear that we're not doing enough. We've got a clock that's ticking down as of the taping of this show. 7 years and 74 days left on our climate clock to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. We're not on track for that at all. We already see the impact of climate change and the disasters that are popping up left and right. We are letting billionaires and special interests destroy this beautiful planet. I'm going to take a quick break, but when we come back, I am going to circle back to the abortion discussion and share my personal experience.
Keiko, the social app. Keiko, the social app. Keiko, the social app. Keiko rules. Keiko, the social app. Billionaire greed. Keiko, the social app. Destroying America. Keiko, the social app. T-minus 7 years and counting. Keiko, the social app.
And with that, let's get back to the show. So let me get back to the conversation on abortion. Probably the most controversial subject so far. Something that has been on a lot of people's mind. It's all over the news. It looks like the Supreme Court is going to overturn Roe versus Wade. And this will allow states to ban abortions. So as soon as it goes into place, there's a bunch of states that have triggers in place that will automatically severely limit or restrict altogether abortions. 1 out of 4 women will get an abortion as it stands right now. And I am one of those 25%. So before the break, I told you I'd share my personal experience, and I'm going to. Before the taping of this, I've only shared this with 2 other people. It's not something that I talk about. And I think that most people would be shocked if they knew how many people had to make this difficult decision. The choice to get an abortion is so personal, and it's something that we don't talk about. And we shouldn't need to. We shouldn't have to explain some of our most difficult decisions. But I think it's really important that we recognize how much of an impact these changes will have. And so for me, there were periods of my teenage years that were really difficult, and I could have gone either way. And one of those situations was an unwanted, unplanned, while on birth control pregnancy. I was in college at the time, dating and living with a much older Black man. I had family members who wouldn't talk to me because of my decision to be in an interracial relationship. And that did not play into my decision to get an abortion. The fact that the child would be an interracial child had nothing to do with it. For me, I didn't plan on being connected to this man for the rest of my life. He was good for me at that point. I was good for him. I don't regret the decisions that I made. I don't regret the decision to get an abortion. He did not want me to get one. And after I did, he threatened my life if it ever happened again. Which really just reinforced that I had made the right decision, because that was the only man that I have ever been scared of. And I saw the way that he treated his son, and I would not let my kids be treated like that. I always wanted to be a mom. It's like I did not ever intend on getting an abortion, but it happened. And afterwards, I made sure that the person that I was dating was a good dad material. And Jeff is a great dad. He has issues. We all have issues. Addiction destroyed our marriage, but he would do anything for those kids. He would never treat them badly. He would never intentionally hurt them. And if I was not allowed to make that decision, my kids wouldn't even be here. My life would have taken a different turn. And I don't know if I was strong enough at that point to handle that life. As a country, things have only gotten harder since that time. And now, when we take away the option and the choice of the woman, we're controlling her destiny. And what's crazy to me is that we can't even feed the kids that we have, and we're going to force people to have more. And these policies, you don't realize how many people it will actually impact. And with each policy that makes life harder, more people will give up. And this is going to throw so many people into that category. My third pregnancy was also unplanned. And that was my little Cooper man. I found out that I was pregnant with him when Jeff was in rehab. I couldn't even call and tell him that I was pregnant. I had to wait 5 or 6 days to tell him when I picked him up from one rehab place and was sending him to Florida for another. And at that point, I didn't know what was going on. I knew that I was going to keep this child. I had a great career. I had family support. My mom lives a mile away. My brother lives a mile away. Regardless of what happened with me and Jeff and his sobriety, I knew I could take care of this child. But there are so many people that are not in that situation, that on top of finding out that the person that they love and that they're married to is an addict, finding out that they're pregnant and trying to wrap your head around what's best for your family at that point is very difficult. So many people are barely scraping by now. And if we force the responsibility of human life on them, it's a recipe for disaster. So that's my 2 cents on the matter. I know some people will hate me for my decision, and I'm okay with that. And I know that this recording is not going to be the most popular one, but people need to realize that these decisions have consequences on everyone. It's going to put a strain on society, a society that is already strained. It's just going to fast track the despair for so many people. There was something else that happened over the last couple of weeks that I want to talk about. Just last week, I got an email from my son's school. My son goes to a private school in Princeton that goes up through 8th grade. And the kids transfer to other high schools. A lot of the kids go to top high schools in New Jersey. And one of those schools had a student who took his life on campus. I don't know how to explain this in a way that my son can understand. And they took all the 7th and 8th graders, had a talk with them, did their best to explain the unexplainable. My son's in 6th grade, so he wasn't at that gathering. But in a small school, things travel fast. When I started this 5 years ago, I wanted to save my kids from the heartache of losing friends. I see the progression, and I know how many people I've lost. And I don't want them to have to go through that. And I don't think we should. Look, we live in the wealthiest country in a world of abundance. Like, life should not be so bad that we are killing ourselves. And there's always going to be some suicide, some mental health issues. Of course, that's going to happen in any society. But teen suicide has jumped by 60%. It is getting harder and harder to shield yourself from this. And if you think money can shield you, the school that this kid came from was full of a bunch of very wealthy families and kids. The pressure that we put on kids today is insane. I hate it. And I feel like I have gone the opposite way. I'm trying to not put pressure on my kids, and one of them is struggling so much in school now. I don't know what the right answer is. But I hate the feeling, and I have no clue how to explain this to my son. I don't want him to think that that's ever an option. I want my kids to know it doesn't matter what they do for a living. It doesn't matter how well they do in school. There are going to be problems in life, and there are going to be times when it's difficult to power through. But I want them to know that, look, whatever life throws at us, we're a team, and I'm not going to let anything happen to them. I would do anything in my power to shield them from any and all heartache. And I know I can't. Getting that email, it's like it just keeps creeping closer and closer. The whole reason why I started this, I wanted to change things because I don't want my kids to have to go to their friends' funerals. I know how painful that is. And how when it happens over and over again, it's like you almost think it's normal. This is not normal. This has gotten to the point that it's affecting our lifespan. It is not normal. We should not have to go to this many funerals. Before I sign off, I highly recommend you check out Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. I'll put it online. It's 18 minutes, hysterical as always, well worth your time. So sorry the topic was gloomy as always, but thank you for listening and see you next Tuesday.
Keiko the social app. K-A-K-O. Keiko the social app. K-A-K-O. Keiko the social app. Keiko rules. Keiko the social app. Billionaire greed. Keiko the social app. Destroying America. Keiko the social app. T-minus 7 years and counting. Keiko the social app.